So you're looking at moving in 2023, maybe you already live in the DFW metroplex, or you're thinking about coming into the metroplex and you're looking for somewhere affordable that makes the most sense for you and your family. So here's what we're gonna do today in our video. We're gonna hit the top 5 most affordable suburbs or cities here in DFW. Let's jump in, get started, and here we go. Let me give some parameters for kind of how we're going to judge this and the criteria we're looking at. Obviously, this isn't going to cover every single city. This is just top 5 that I think you should probably consider looking at. So a couple criteria we want to look at is this is going to be kind of only the Dallas side of the metroplex. We're not really going to touch going toward Fort Worth. We're going to do Dallas. So really kind of Dallas, Collin counties is kind of where we're going to focus a lot of our time, at least for the purpose of today's video. So that's the first criteria. Second criteria is we want to see cities that have a population of at least 50,000 people. I know there's some other great cities that are growing and we want to talk about those, but for today's video, we're gonna hit that 50,000 mark because that's the point when we really get to great infrastructure, schools, parks, things to do, restaurants, shopping, groceries, things like that. So 50,000 feels like a fair threshold on that end. And then we're gonna look at an average sales price of under $500,000. You're gonna be like, Zach, under 500, that's still really expensive. Yes, but most of these sit a little bit underneath that. So we're gonna jump into that and of course talk about like access to downtown Dallas and other parts of the metroplex. So those are our criteria. Here we go. We'll start with number 5. Coming in at number 5 on our top affordable cities on the Dallas side of the metroplex, I have Garland. Garland is, to me, it's one of those OG original suburbs that showed up on the map and has just kind of really expanded. It's got great access when you think about 30, 635, and George Bush, so you could really get anywhere in the metroplex. When it comes to houses and things like that, it's really gonna be kind of affordable, so we're gonna put it on screen. What you're looking at, this is the heat map for Garland. So the lighter the color, you're gonna kind of see that cheaper pricing. The darker the blue the color that gets, really the more expensive. So average sales price is gonna be not too bad. Let's look at it another way. This is Garland, and if we were in June of last year was $455 was average sales price for 4 bedrooms or more. So that kind of gives you an idea. And then of course we've seen it drop a little bit coming into 2023, 415, 362, and then finish out the year at 355 on an average sales price for Garland. Another heat map we could kind of look at that again kind of points out the original suburb data is year built. So the lighter the color, the older the home, the darker the color, the newer the home. So when we look at the heat map for Garland, we've seen, again, there's a lot of older homes, a lot of established neighborhoods. There is some new construction happening. Most of that's happening up toward the George Bush, kind of as you push toward Saxe, the Hawaiian Falls area. So really great affordability when it comes to Garland. Access, you could work almost anywhere in the metroplex and have, easy access to get back to Garland. Population's gonna be right at 242,000. So again, it hits our threshold there. One interesting thing to note about Garland before we move on to number 4, Garland, when it comes to Garland ISD, if you have kids, is a open choice or open enrollment district, which means you are zoned for your schools. If you live in Garland, your kids do have free choice. There are some parameters that come with that as to how you can enroll them in those particular campuses. But just note, it is a free or open district when it comes to enrollment for Garland ISD. Number 4 on the list for me is going to be Mesquite. And Mesquite will always hold a special place in my heart. It's my hometown. It's where I grew up. And I've debated about putting it on the list. There's a lot going on in Mesquite. There's some, it's very affordable. We've kind of talked on our channel before at length about, what to expect when you're moving to Mesquite. The benefit to Mesquite is all of the highway access, right? 635, 80, 20, 30, all of that, that's a huge benefit to Mesquite. Population is going to be at that 147, so almost 150. The infrastructure is all there. When we look at their heat map for age of home, it looks very similar to Garland as terms of age. A lot of new construction that's happening in Mesquite is happening on the far south side, toward 20, going out kind of on 80. What I don't like about that, just to be completely honest, is that new construction is there's not a lot of grocery stores, restaurants and things, all of that. Most of Mesquite's shopping is concentrated right there, right around the highway. All of those grocery stores are kind of concentrated really south central North Mesquite area, where that is heavily populated, heavy density for them. We'll do the same, the heat map on average sale price. Again, you're gonna see that shine really kind of blue there. Here's what it looks like on the bar graph, in case you're just a person that says, hey, I need it a couple different ways. I'm a visual person, that's okay. So last year in April, we were at 361 on an average sales price, kind of finished out the year 327, 323, 330. So there's some affordability in Mesquite. Like I said, there's a lot of revitalization happening. There's a lot of intentionality of things going in there. I will say, although you have access to highways, you're going to sit in a lot of traffic. Just coming in and out of Mesquite, that's kind of one of those things that you need to be mindful of. And so while I would recommend Mesquite, again, somebody who grew up there, hometown, will always have a special place in my heart. There might be some other better options, but in terms of affordability, there's some really great affordability. Number 3 on my list for the Dallas side of DFW, I would actually go Richardson. I think Richardson's got a great central location, easy, again, to get almost anywhere in the metroplex. If you're working, in downtown, or you're working in Plano or Allen or McKinney, or even some parts of, the north side of Fort Worth, I wouldn't recommend Richardson to Arlington. That would be kind of crazy. There's a lot of good things happening in Richardson. Another one of those older communities that's really built out. Population just north of about 115,000 people. A lot of older homes, a lot of renovated homes, a lot of really neat, mature neighborhoods. I was driving around with some clients yesterday, and we were looking at homes in Richardson, and there's just a lot of really cool things. It really boomed in the 80s and 90s, and so you're seeing a lot of that in Richardson. There's a lot of uniqueness when it comes to neighborhoods, lots of very different cultural pockets, which is really cool to see. If you're looking for that, there is a little bit of new construction, not a ton. When we look at, so there's our age map. Let's look at our average sales price map. Again, we're popping that light blue color, so bang for your buck when it comes to money, it's gonna be there. Here is your actual bar chart so that you can kind of see that and compare, just to say, hey, here's what, we're seeing an average sales price. So that, pops out 569, so that kind of pops it out of our category. But when we get back into the later part of the year, we're still climbing back down, 505, 502, finish the year for 2022, 490. So Richardson would be one of those ones that I would definitely consider looking at if you're looking for something that might fit you and your family. We made it to top 2, and I have to be honest, on my second choice, this one was one that maybe I cheated a little bit on. Maybe I tried to, leave it out, but we're gonna do it because it kind of hits our criteria, but it kind of skews a little bit in a different direction. And this is Grand Prairie. So you would say, well, Zach, why would you say it cheats? Well, Grand Prairie technically covers 3 counties because it's Dallas County, Tarrant County, and Ellis County. In my mind, Grand Prairie kind of runs the imaginary border, separates Dallas from Fort Worth. It's not, there's Grand Prairie, Arlington. In my mind, at least to me, that's kind of where as you drive down 20, that's where the border, as somebody who's lived here most of their life, with the exception of a couple of years, that's where the border is for me. So Grand Prairie, I think, is probably one of the most undervalued cities when it comes to DFW. There's tons of things to do. They've gotten to a population of almost 200,000 people, and it has continued to boom. The city has done a really great job of bringing in shops and entertainment. IKEA's opened up out there in the last couple of years. You've got Epic, which is an indoor water park. It's massive, tons of fun. Amenity centers, parks. There's the Lone Star Park, which is horse racing. If you're into horse racing, there's a minor league baseball team. You have close access to get to Six Flags if you're looking for that. Just some really good things happening in Grand Prairie. And again, when we look at our heat map, you can kind of see the Grand Prairie area here. Most of those homes, you can kind of see how that breaks down. So there's, again, a lot of older homes. There's a little bit of new construction happening. The biggest benefit that's helped Grand Prairie, honestly, is how the George Bush Turnpike has kind of come all the way through. So it ends right there in Grand Prairie. Eventually, I think it'll expand, but it can, it loops the metroplex on the north side. So getting you into Grand Prairie is a great one. So I think that might be one of those places that I would look and say, hey, this could be a really great potential fit for somebody. And then of course, we'll look at the chart. Average in September of last year was 460, ended out the year in the 420 range. Average again on a 4-bedroom home. So Grand Prairie, close access, honestly could get you into Fort Worth. Like if you had to work somewhere on that Fort Worth side of the metroplex, you could look at Grand Prairie, really, or look at, if you're working somewhere to the north, Grand Prairie would be an option that we would consider looking at. Drum roll, we've made it to number 1. And this may, honestly, this can't stay number 1 for long in terms of affordability and best places to live, because it is quickly growing and quickly getting really expensive. So if you're looking for a place to go that you could probably make some money on real estate in the long term, this might be the city for you. Number 1 on my list is Wylie, Texas. Back out here, kind of just past Garland, got access to the George Bush. You've got Highway 78 running right through there. Population at 59,000 people, and it has grown. Wylie's done a great job of parks and family spaces. School district is phenomenal. So that would be one of those ones I would look at. In terms of affordability, it has started to creep up past our 500K mark. It got a little hectic at last year, and then it kind of leveled out at the end of the year, just right under that average price point of 500K. You can kind of see it here on our graph. We'll look at the kind of the age of homes for Wylie. So it is a space that's growing. That whole area, really, Wylie, Saxe, Murphy, St. Paul, Lucas, all of that is exploding. So I can only put this on the list for a little bit of time because, again, I think prices are going to continue to rise as growth happens that direction. So if you're wanting to get in somewhere now, Wylie would be a good place to look. So all that to be said, you can't go wrong in any of these places. There's tons of opportunity. If you're in these cities or you're looking to move these cities, I'd love to help you any way I can. I sell real estate here in the DFW marketplace, help families buy, sell, build new construction, whatever it is. I'm here to be a resource and an advocate. My contact information is down below. If I can help you in any way, please reach out. You can look down in the description, schedule a time in my calendar to chat, browse homes, whatever it is. I promise I'm just here to help answer any questions. Let me know thoughts on some cities. I'd love to hear kind of what you're thinking, what you're seeing as your neighborhoods are growing and changing. Where do we see the growth happening? Where should people be looking? Where should people stay away from? Let's have a conversation about it down in the comments below. So I appreciate you guys for all your time. Thank you for hanging out with me today. We will see you in our next video. Bye for now.